Alright guys, and welcome back to the Saints View channel for some content for our match preview ahead of Southampton's return to St Mary's as they host Arsenal. It's the first home game in almost 4 months. It's been so long, but I cannot wait. Of course, we're not going to be there, it's a shame, but I think this is a pretty good opportunity to start improving our home form, and that's what we're going to talk about later on in the video. Also look at the game itself. Arsenal, bad form. Could it be another win as well for Saints after they got off to a great start on Friday? All of this will be discussed in the video, and we also got insight from my good mate Bav, who's an Arsenal YouTuber. He gave us the lowdown on everything that's gone wrong at Arsenal this season, and especially recently as they've lost their first 2 games of the restart. But before we get into it all, do make sure you have hit subscribe. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers, so the sooner the better, and have your notifications turned on so you don't miss a thing. Regular content is back, and we're in the swing of things again, which I'm really happy about. Also make sure you'll follow us on our socials. We're very active on there as well. Right, let's get into it. As always, let's look at the previous game before we look at the current one. A 3-0 win away at Norwich. Very comfortable, very convincing, and an ideal way to start the restart. It was very weird. The first match week has felt like a new season. I don't really feel comfortable with it yet, but I enjoyed it. We've missed our football and we've missed Saints particularly, and they didn't make us want to bang our heads on the wall. They actually played very, very well, especially in that second half. Blew Norwich away and could have scored more than 3. Having said that, Norwich just didn't show up, especially in that second half. They started very well for the first 10-15 minutes, but after that I thought it was pretty comfortable for us. Ings hit the bar, and that was sort of the main chance of the first half, but the second half we came out rampant, scored within 3 minutes, and then scored again 5 minutes later, and then Redmond put the cherry on the cake about 20 minutes after that. And the other thing was there were 3 very good goals, and perfect examples of the way we want to play under Ralph, all about winning the ball in our own half and counter-attacking. That's particularly what we saw in that second goal. You know, Pukki gave it away, we won it back, and instantly we went forward, and the quartet of Obafemi, Ings, Armstrong and Redmond looked incredibly threatening. Our pressing was spot on, and we made Norwich pay for their incredibly sloppy play. And that's something that we could take into the Arsenal game, because I feel like we are going to definitely get chances from sloppy Arsenal mistakes. However, this is a completely different game to the Norwich one. First of all, it's at home, and second of all, when we're giving away the ball like we did, especially in that first sort of 20-minute period, we will get punished regardless of how bad Arsenal's form has been. They have got Aubameyang and Lacazette up front with Pepe in the wing as well. Saka's also a good player too. They will make us pay, and we can't be giving away cheap chances. Now, I mentioned our attacking quartet. I thought Armstrong was particularly good on Friday, especially in that second half. Ings got man of the match though, as you would expect. He also got a goal and an assist, but Redmond also looked particularly bright. I said it in my 5 things we learned video from the Norwich game. He is crucial for this side and underrated massively. When we didn't have him before the lockdown, we weren't playing very well, but going forward, when we have him, we are just sensational at times. And then the 4th player in that quartet was Obafemi. He had a good game, he got an assist for the 3rd goal, but I just didn't feel convinced by his performance. Of course, Ings stole the show up front. Now, would I replace him? No, I think he deserves to start again. Long is looking likely to be ready for this one, and of course we've got Shay Adams on the bench too. But neither of whom I think deserve the chance over Obafemi. I would personally be keeping him in there. However, his place is not in, I don't think jeopardy is the right word, but if he has another sort of average game, I think it may be interesting if we look into adding Long or Shay to replace him, especially with a game on Sunday as well, just 3 days after the Arsenal one. And another player who received criticism on Friday was Jan Valery, easily our worst player on the pitch on Friday against Norwich. Looked pretty shaky, got off to the worst possible start with a mistake, and at times lost the ball in dangerous areas. He just has to learn to hoof it sometimes. Now, he did make some good tackles, he made some good passes, he was involved in some attacks, and when he does play properly, you know, we saw a little dribble towards the end of the game. That was superb, but he's just got to do it a bit more consistently. There were calls for Kyle Walker-Peters to replace him for this game. It'd be interesting to see whether Ralph listens to that. Personally, would I start Valery? I think I would. Now, I don't think Walker-Peters is going to be a Southampton player next season. And okay, we can argue that we need to play the best players that we have, and I think we've decided that Walker-Peters is a better right back than Valery. However, Valery will be here next season, and I don't know, I feel like we should develop him and give him the game time. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, I could say the exact same thing about Smallbone replacing Højbjerg, who, by the way, is a very good game against Norwich after a difficult week. I'd be happy with either, in all honesty. I think right back's one of the key areas we need to improve on in this summer, so it's sort of a case of making the best of what we've got. Walker Peters or Valerie, I'm not fussed either way, to be honest. However, the rest of the defence looked pretty solid, to be fair. I thought Bertrand contributed well and Stevens was absolutely superb. Bednarek made some good challenges as well. I was very content. However, Norwich didn't really test us that much. It's going to be a completely different challenge looking after the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette. Two very good centre forwards, one world class, arguably both are. I mentioned it in the introduction, it is our first home game for almost 4 months, and traditionally, not even just this season but the last 2 or 3, our home form has just been absolutely woeful, and it's finally time to address it. I'm sick and tired of having a poor home form. If you look at our away form this season, it's been absolutely superb, and if we were a bit better at home, we would be pushing for Europe, and that's a fact. And it was a very interesting point made by Matt Letizia this weekend on Soccer Saturday about how Southampton's home form has sort of been to do with maybe a bit of toxic atmosphere from fans, especially when expectations have been a bit high and fans are getting on the backs of players. There are no fans in this game. This could be potentially a really good opportunity, not that just this game, but this whole period with the 4 home games that we're going to have behind closed doors, to actually just improve our home form. And what was interesting for me to see watching the games across the whole Premier League over the weekend was there were a handful of home wins. We did say, previewing it, that we'd seen in the Bundesliga loads of away wins, the fact that, you know, that it's all neutral venues, but we did see home wins. Brighton beat Arsenal, of course Man City beat Arsenal as well. You know, Everton got a point against Liverpool, Watford got a point against Leicester, and Newcastle also did very well to beat Sheffield United 3-0. So I think the home form potentially could still be a factor. Now, St Mary's is a bogey ground for Arsenal. It has been over the last, well, it's been a bogey ground for Arsenal for numerous years, especially since our promotion back to the Premier League. We beat them the last time they came down. That was Ralph Hasenhüttl's first home game in charge. It seems like so long ago now. We drew with them the season before as well. Additionally, we do very well at home to Arsenal. And one of my favourite home games against Arsenal has to be that 4-0 win on Boxing Day. And some fans have been bringing that game back up this week and thinking that potentially it could be a repeat. Started very well, but Arsenal, it almost feels like it's the best time to play them with 2 very negative results to start off the restart. And so, you know, if we're on form and they're not, could we get a 4-0 drubbing? I don't think we can, and we'll talk about my prediction later on. I think people saying that are a bit too confident, but I do feel like this is the best chance we've had to beat Arsenal at home for a while, and we have actually gone and beaten Arsenal at home on a regular basis over the last handful of years. So, you know, a big win could be on the cards here. Now, let's get on to our opponents, Arsenal. They have gotten off to the worst possible start that they could imagine to the restart. Now, being given Man City away as your first game back after 3.5 months off, yeah, it's not ideal. However, I thought they started pretty well until David Luiz came on. We don't need to talk about that. We all know what happened with David Luiz. Possibly one of the worst ever individual performances the Premier League has ever seen. And unfortunately for Saints, David Luiz will be missing this game with suspension. They lost the City game 3-0. Okay, you sort of tick that one off, move on. They then go to Brighton. They went there on Saturday and again didn't really show up. They were very poor, missed a lot of chances and went on and lost 2-1, and deservedly so, you can argue. Not saying that Brighton was spectacular, but Arsenal just didn't help themselves. Defensively they looked shaky, they didn't take their chances, and it went from bad to a lot worse, losing 2 games in a row as they returned to Premier League action. Now, also in that game they lost their goalkeeper Bernd Leno. It looks like he's got some sort of ankle ligament or maybe even an ACL injury, a very awkward fall, and of course we wish him all the best. There hasn't been team news as I film this, but I cannot imagine that he'll be playing in this game. It looks like it'll be Emiliano Martinez, which obviously is a boost for us. You don't want to see any player get that sort of injury, but we have to use it as a bonus for us and pepper their goalkeeper with shots, because will he be confident? I'm not convinced, especially after coming on and going to lose the game on Saturday. Now, like us, they have also got a game on Sunday, but it's an FA Cup game against Sheffield United. It really seems like now that they've dropped down to 10th in the Premier League, the FA Cup's the only thing that they've got going for them this season. They're also out of the Europa League, so it may also be their only route into Europe. So the question is, will they prioritise Sunday's game and maybe field a weakened side against Saints on Thursday night? Personally, I don't buy it. I think Arsenal are made to be playing 3 times a week. So I'm pretty sure that Mikel Arteta will field a very strong side. But of course, I'm no expert on Arsenal, so I spoke to my good mate Bav, who is an Arsenal fan. He's been on the channel before, to give us some insight on what has gone wrong with Arsenal recently and how he's feeling ahead of the game on Thursday. Right then guys, we are with Bav. He's agreed to come on the channel to talk about Arsenal. Probably something he didn't want to do this week, but fair play to him. He has actually come on. Bav, mate, first of all, how are you and where's it gone wrong?
I'm in a serial state of depression. Not only have, in the space of a week, football's returned, I've gone from being excited as hell, just wanting football to return, to like Arsenal losing 2 games, getting battered in the first one, embarrassing away because of David Luiz, and then losing to Brighton. And this is the worst thing about it, is you don't have to be good anymore to beat Arsenal. Brighton were awful in that game. You can ask Brighton fans about that, and yet they still managed to beat us. So. And also, we've got injuries as well. Leno's now injured, and Mari's injured, Xhaka's injured. Yeah, man, it is depression. FC back again, man.
Well, obviously you talk about injuries there, but is it just injuries that have been the main cause for this sort of awful start to the restart, or is the problem a bit deeper?
Look, at the end of the day, the mentality of the club is wrong. There's a lot of players there that have just not Arsenal players, that don't care about Arsenal, that are just there for the sake of it. I'm hearing these players that don't want to play in certain positions. If you're playing at Arsenal Football Club, with all due respect, you play wherever we want you to play. It's not about choices, but I just think slowly over the years we've gotten worse and worse because the mentality is just relaxed. It's like we're trying to be the standard, we're just trying to be standard team nowadays. Whereas Liverpool and Man City, where we should be, they're setting their standards. They're the guys that you're following. And we're not being the guys that, So, yeah, I think the injuries play a massive part, though. Make no mistake, come on now. Your first game back, within the first 20 minutes, you lose your first team midfielder and your first team centre-back. That's obviously going to cause yourself issues. And then when you bring on a clown like David Luiz, it was always going to end up like it did. So, but yeah, I've not got any excuses. We're just not good enough. That's the fact, isn't it?
Yeah, well, try and be positive for a second. Obviously, it hasn't been a great start to the restart, but if you cast your mind back to before the restart, who are the key men and who are the players that we should be looking out for on Thursday?
Alright, if you're talking about prior to, the break, I'd say, yeah, you got your Aubameyang, obviously, he's the go-to, he's the goal scorer, but I would say coming back into this now, end of this break now, it almost seems like Aubameyang he doesn't care, but his body language just seems a bit different to me. It's just a bit off, and it's just something I've read into, I think. And then after that you've got the likes, you got your Lacazette and so, but they're just not performing this season, like Özil and Lacazette. Because on paper, you can admit yourself, Arsenal have got a very good team, or should have a very good team. But yeah, I think the danger man going into the Southampton game is going to be Aubameyang for sure. And obviously you got Nicolas Pepe, who has had a quietly good season. People think he's been a flop, but the man's got 15 goals and assists in all competitions. Does not deserve a bit more respect then for being a flop? So Pepe's the guy, man.
I can't say that you've probably watched a lot of us, but are you worried about Southampton? Do you feel like we're a threat, or do you think that actually Arsenal could probably get a result from this one?
No, listen, I am worried. I am always worried. I am worried to a point where I don't think Arsenal could go to the end of this season and not win a single game, and I would not be surprised. That's how bad we are right now. It's just the injuries have come at the wrong time. We've lost a lot of key players. The mentality is wrong in the first place. And it all starts with that midfielder, man. There's so many midfielders at our club that it's just a dysfunctional team down there. We've got a fantastic attack. The defence is bad, but it's still good enough, Compared to other defences, on papers and on name, it should look like a better defence. But that midfield lets us down, man. So in terms of Southampton, I'm scared. Because you've got players like Danny Ings, who will bang goals, who's a bagsman, who takes his chances. Yeah? You're potent on the counter-attack. Of course I'm scared, man. And we couldn't beat a team that had not won a single game in 2020. Yeah? A single game in 2020. And they come to Arsenal side that needs to win that game to get into that Champions League places, and we somehow lose the game. So, listen, I am nervous as ever, I'd say that for a fact.
Well, you said that, obviously, the season's pretty much done for Arsenal when it comes to the league, and you obviously knocked out the Europa League before the lockdown. But on Sunday, you do have an FA Cup match. Do you see the FA Cup is now the priority for the season, and could the team selection on Thursday be affected with that game in mind?
Look, as much as I have given up on the league, I am sure Arteta is not someone who's done that. Who you still got to believe, you still got to win your games. You know, you can't just go, there's no chance of Arsenal getting top 4 or top 5. Even though I don't think we're gonna get it, as a manager, you can't do that, because you never know where if, say if Arsenal win the remaining few games, and then you have, United drop points and Sheffield United, as you saw against Newcastle, drop points as well. You've got to be there to capitalise. It's not fully over, but just seeing Arsenal and the way the season's gone, I don't expect to happen. In terms of the FA Cup, I don't really care about it, honestly, because the only time I care about the FA Cup is when it's fans can go to games. Do I really want to see Arsenal in the FA Cup and not a single fan in the stadium? Like, no, I don't want to see that. It's like, that's what the FA Cup is about. It's about going to those Wembley games, the sunny days at Wembley. That's what the FA Cup is about for me. But to then watch the FA Cup final, if Arsenal were to even get to that stage and it'd be an empty stadium, it's like, I'm good. I don't care anymore, honestly.
Fair enough. Well, to wrap it all up, what is your score prediction and how do you see the game going on Thursday?
Yeah, my score prediction, look, we should beat you guys. We on paper should beat you guys. But it's Arsenal right now. The club's in a bit of a state. There's a lot of injuries. We've lost our goalkeeper, Bert Leno, for over a year. Cheers for that, Neil Mopay. And I'm going to say a draw. I'm not even going to go for an Arsenal win. I've been on this channel so many times and I've always said an Arsenal win, and I'm that yeah. I'm
trying to think. I think you've beaten us once since we've done about 4 previews now.
Exactly. So I'm not even going to say Arsenal win. I'm hoping it's a bit of reverse psychology. I'm going to just say an Arsenal, probably like a 2-2 or a 1-1. I'll probably go 2-2 because we can't, 2-2 is probably the thing.
See, I initially said 2-2, but I've kind of changed it to 3-1 Saints. But I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking that it's impossible for Arsenal to lose 3 in a row. But obviously, it's a different Arsenal.
It's possible, bro. We're mid-table, man. That's the saddest thing about it, bro. We're mid-table. Where are Southampton right now in the league?
14th, but if we beat you on Thursday, we go level on points.
And isn't it mad the last time we played you were bottom of the table?
Yeah, we were pretty close. We should have beaten you about 5-1.
So you're telling me?
In the space of, probably that was in November, wasn't it? In the space of just a few months, you guys have gone from bottom of the table, fighting relegation, and Arsenal fighting for the Champions League places, to now we're both in mid-table, and if you win against us, you're going to same points. Does I not tell you the whole story about Arsenal this season? It's been an absolute shambles and a disgrace, to be honest. And look, you listen to my voice, I don't care anymore. I've honestly lost hope. And I'm always a hopeful person. You could give me Ty's water bottle and I'd still be not hopeful, because I've just lost it, bro. But yeah, it is what it is, man.
Alright guys, well make sure to check out Bav's channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. Yeah, no worries. And again, thanks. Big thanks to Bav for doing that one. Of course, I'll leave his link in the description below. Recently surpassed 10k subs, so make sure you go and check out his channel. Very good content as always. Right, on to my prediction now. I have sort of flickered in between different outcomes for this one. On the weekend, after Arsenal had lost and we'd obviously won, I kind of felt like, oh wow, like, we could go and win this one. Then I moved on to the sort of more sensible approach of thinking that this could be a draw. It's unheard of for Arsenal to lose 3 in a row. I know they've been incredibly poor this season, but to lose 3 league games in a row, especially the first 3 of the Premier League restart, I just can't see it. But for some reason, I kind of feel like it's written in the stars for us to win this one. We started very well against Norwich. I know, they played poorly, but it kind of feels like Arsenal could produce that sort of performance against us like Norwich did and not really go for it, and be incredibly lacklustre and sloppy, which is why I originally predicted a 2-2 draw, but I'm going to go confident. I went confident for the Norwich game, predicted 2-1, we won 3-0, so I'm going to go with another 2-1 prediction. I think that we will do very well to keep a clean sheet against the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Saka and co. But I also back us, Ings is in good form, Armstrong's in the best form of his Saints career, Redmond's come back from his injury with a bang. And we've also got options off of the bench, the likes of Boufal, Adams, Long. I do feel like we can go and win this game. Not even just win it, but win it comfortably and make a real statement of intent. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, leave it a like. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts ahead of the game. Are you confident? Are you a bit nervous and slightly pessimistic going into it, or do you think we will go and win the game? Make sure you have hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet already. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing, and tune in for a live predicted lineup. We're changing up the content a little bit. We're going to be doing our predicted lineup live. It's going to be all 4 of us tomorrow from 5 PM, so stay tuned for that. And until then, take it easy and we'll see you soon.